Okay, so my original intention was to get back into doing Tarot Tuesday. I just taught a class online about the power to heal. And the essence of that is learning that there are causal thoughts and feelings behind every disease and disorder, and then what to do with that. So I closed that up and finished that class. And I also thought, while I'm sitting here by my computer, how about I do Tarot Tuesday? And then that led me to ask the question, what's the karma of the United States right now? What are we being called forth to heal in our group consciousness, what you might call the soul of America? So here's my prayer. Divine oneness of being, ascended masters and teachers, our own personal guides and overlighting angels, thank you for coming in closely at this time. Thank you for working through me and with me and all of us here in this place and time, in this country, to illuminate what it is that's being called forth in Americans and in America at this time. Okay. Just so slightly nervous. Ace of Swords. The Hierophant. Oh, that makes total sense. Okay. Ace of Swords, the Hierophant. Seven of Swords. Justice in the past. Eight of Pentacles in the conscious mind. Four of Cups in the future. Eight of Swords in the current. Strength. Nine of Pentacles. King of Pentacles. Okay. Interesting. So when I saw the Hierophant, that makes total sense. The Hierophant crossed with the Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords being, remember the Ace is number one, and there's four suits. Okay, so the number one or Ace of the mental or air suit, new thought, new way of thinking, new perspective, versus, or aligned with, in this case it's pretty obvious it's versus the old way of thinking. The Hierophant is often comes through as the pressure you feel to fit in or be a certain way or do a certain thing. Now the positive side of the Hierophant is the teacher, the one who holds the knowledge. And we might come back to that part of the Hierophant, but right now it's pretty obvious, the new thinking versus old thinking. In the conscious mind is the Eight of Pentacles, most often looked as the craftsman, the creator, okay? Person doing something. Also, to me, the Eight of Pentacles can often be like the planning and the research before the creation. Below you in the Seven of Swords, that's hilarious. The Seven of Swords. I mean, look at this guy. He's looking over his shoulder like, how long am I going to get away with this? I'm scared I'm going to get caught. And I think that's where a lot of people are now, of trying hard not to be political, even though this is a lot about politics. All right, I mean, it's the soul of America, and what's in everybody's mind is what's in social media and the media, of what's being publicized and popularized about the government and so on. But so let's make it about each person watching and listening to this, all right? I would say, if this was an individual person, I'd ask, in what way have you been deceiving yourself? You're looking over your shoulder. You know you've been stealing. Mirror image. It's like you know you're stealing from yourself. So swords is the mental suit, the suit that tells us about our thoughts and the power of our thoughts and what we do with our thinking, with our mind. So it's some way in which we've been deceiving ourselves. And then the conscious mind, the Eight of Pentacles, would be like the healing of that, the antidote to that. Do your own research. Maybe it was part of that. Justice in the past. Well, justice as justice, I don't think is really as applicable as what she represents in the symbolism of this card. To me, this justice card says, you make the decisions. You weigh the pros and cons. You direct the energy. Future, Four of Cups. The ability to receive. Especially something that is sentimental or emotional or spiritual. Not so much, that's not, the cups is not going to be about money. It's about like a gift that comes out of nowhere. See the hand in the sky? Your job is to be receptive to that. Eight of Swords, trapped in our own thoughts. Now doesn't that give some light to the Seven of Swords we saw before? We got to get out of our own heads. Or again, as if I was talking about a person, here is the major thing you're challenged with is being stuck in your head, overanalyzing, overthinking things, and not just accepting. There you go. I think that's going to be a big part of this is accepting the truth you see in front of you without stealing from yourself by making excuses, fooling yourself. Next is strength. The gentle hand commands a lion. This is not about force. The gentle hand commands the lion. Be compassionate. Be peaceful with yourself. So, for instance, if you're looking at this as a person and saying, "Oh, I can't get out of my head. I'm so stupid." Whoa, whoa, whoa. No, be nice to yourself. Say, "Hey, I realize I have a tendency to get stuck in my head. I'm going to be mindful and consciously step out of my head. I'm going to develop techniques for doing that. Going for a walk, doing something different, breaking out of my routine." Oh, Nine of Pentacles. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Appreciation for what you've created so far. But this is the easy one for the country. Like, look what we've created. I mean, most places call it the greatest country on earth. Hopefully that still means something in morals and ethics and not just military power and money. The world used to look at us as a standard of what they wanted to be. King of Pentacles. Well, as a person, you could say, well, it's all about that one guy who at least says he has a lot of money. But as an archetype, this would be the grounded person, even a farmer. It's not all about the money. People often see pentacles as money. It's the earth suit. It's the suit of the earth element. So it could be about money. It could also be about healing and health, like the physical body. But to me, there's a strong indication in this reading of being true to yourself, accepting what you see as true, quit making excuses for, like, oh, well, he didn't really mean that. The hell he didn't. People will tell you the truth about themselves if you pay attention, if you are receptive. If you are receptive, you will perceive the truth. If you enter into a situation with certain expectations, those expectations tend to be filled. If you are judgmental, instead of, this is about being decisive, not judgmental. If you're judgmental, say, well, all Democrats are this, or all Republicans are this, or all rich people are this, all poor people. Not helping. Not helping at all. I believe our karma, what we are being called forth to do, is to be open and honest, not open and gullible, open and honest. Accept that what you see is the truth. Quit making excuses, and so the craftsman, that conscious mind one, is also the card of doing the work. Do the work. Don't just sit there and saying, well, I'm not going to vote because my vote doesn't matter. Your vote might not decide the presidential election because you live in a state that votes one way or another. But your vote matters to the soul, your soul, and the soul of America. All right, I look forward to your comments and questions. I know I did this impromptu, so nobody knew I was doing it, but I'm sure somebody will see it. And I welcome your comments and questions, and hopefully this is helpful. Peace and love, that's all my intention is. Not trying to stir anything up. I really just generally want insight on what we're being called forth to do as a nation.